Hello, people!
Hello, and that is Doug looking quite frightened.
Yes, yes. And this is the usual reaction I have whenever you enter a room.
Which is actually kind of weird because I don't think I've ever crossed your path, save for the anniversary specials in any of your videos. Wait, sorry, except for the Care Bears video. But who keeps continuity anyway?
And technically, ask that guy, but that is quote-unquote a different character, although he's very terrified of you, too.
Yeah. So I guess we should just talk about how this crossover came to be. It really was kind of random when you look back on it, but I knew about this cartoon, Starchaser, from a good friend of mine who's really big into old, bad cartoons. But when I first brought up the possibility of us crossing over, I brought up this old Battletoads cartoon, which, if you've never heard of it, Battletoads was like this one pilot that never made it past the pilot. It was like a 23 minutes of just complete ass. It's ass with a capital A, but on rethinking it over, there's not really much room to work with just a single 23-minute episode, so I brought up Starchaser here, which is good, cheesy fun.
It's sort of sad, too, because when you do research, it's like, you sort of feel sad for it because it looks like a lot of money was thrown at it, and indeed it was, and it just bombed like crazy. Because it was just constantly trying to rip off Star Wars, obviously, and there wasn't that much original. It's pretty corny and stuff, but I do feel back. It's pretty decent animation, in my opinion, anyway.
A lot of people actually got on our hide for saying it has good animation, because animation nerds will tell you that it's Ralph Bakshi kind of animation, which means it's kind of, lazy in a sense, because you're basically rotoscoping, and there's this big tip over it, but it looks good for what it is. It looks good. That's what. Is
it actually rotoscoped? I didn't know. That's
it has that rotoscope look to it. I mean, if you look at that is total rotoscope look.
I guess so. It sort of looks like rotoscoping rotoscope, if that makes any sense.
I wrote the script. I wrote pretty much the entire script, except for Doug put in his own little tips here and there. And the original line to that, it flopped. The line was, "It flopped harder than Gabourey Sidibe off the high dive." But I didn't know if Doug knew how to pronounce Gabourey Sidibe's name, so...
So I just said fat guy on American Funniest Home Videos, yeah. Well, and that is one of the things I hate it when somebody else has to write a script for me, because I like, at the very least, like, if it's a crossover, you want to make like a real crossover where both of you give your points of view, but I mean, with the fourth year and filming and editing and stuff, I just knew there wasn't going to be time. Even actually, when you were here, and we were filming the fourth year, like, we were supposed to film it together, but again, just time really got out of control on their job. Oh, and I was losing my voice at that time too.
I know. It's
like I could talk, but anytime I had to do something high pitched, which I knew I'd have to do for this, I sound like this, and it couldn't come out. So I felt really bad for that, but then it does allow for that great, you appearing as the devil again against the black screen and stuff like that. That does crack me up.
My cheapo ass black screen. Reading through the comments, a lot of people were surprised for you to mention Molly Hatchet album cover. Well, that's because you didn't mention it. I wrote that. I didn't expect you to keep it because... Like, I didn't know if you listened to Molly Hatchet at all, but you look at the...
I looked it up. I was just, that works.
You look at the backgrounds, especially, and it's unavoidable how much of it just screams like Molly Hatchet. And I don't know if have you seen Heavy Metal? Like the original Heavy Metal?
I've seen bits of it. A lot of people, say, are you going to review that? I'm like, yeah, maybe one day. I've never seen the whole thing, though. But I know what it looks like. I've seen, like, the South Park parody as well and stuff, and I know that's a very accurate portrayal of it.
Boobs! Yeah, what? God. Oh, and John Candy as well. Boobs and John Candy.
John Candy's it, yeah.
Good. I didn't mention this before, but I'm surprised how much Oren even looks like Luke Skywalker. I mean, longer hair, but
it really does have it's one of those things where it's like, if you were just to show me, like, maybe a still or one or two stills, I wouldn't necessarily shout, "Hey, that's Star Wars!" But it's like once you just start seeing it moving and you see all these shots together and everything, it's like, yeah, you can't escape it. It's trying to cash in on the whole Star Wars thing.
I knew you were going to make a Robin reference somewhere down along the lines when I did that. Yeah, I hated that kid so much. I'm glad he was only in for like 5 minutes of the film.
Blind, isn't it?
It's like, yes, you're a blind little bitch. Shut up.
The one joke that I was thinking to make is that the robots in this movie are pretty damn stupid. And they constantly make really bad mistakes and the things that just logically don't add up, especially for machines. You think they take the logical route. So I was going to make a joke. There's just like one guy who makes these things, and he's just like, he just happened to be the first person to ever make a robot, and he just got the copyright, so nobody else could ever make one. And it just so happened his sucked, but then it's sort of like a lot of the robots look different, and they came from different, like, backgrounds or whatever, so it's sort of like, that's kind of a long joke. I'll just skip it. But yeah, the robots, for whatever reason, in this movie are really dumb.
Oh, they are so fucking dumb. You cut out this part, but there's a scene, like, towards the end of the film where that little floating dingleberry goes inside a robot's head, and the robot actually shoots his own head off.
Yeah, the reason I cut that out is because I thought that was legitimately funny. Like, that was actually a funny scene. I was just like, I don't know if I can mock that. I actually thought that was really funny.
Well, it's I wouldn't say it's funny intentionally. I don't know.
I think it might have been. That's sort of up for debate. If you see that, if you can watch it online, actually, you may want to check that scene out because it will get a good laugh out of you. Whether it was meant to or not, I'm not sure.
Oh, I wish to all hell that I wrote the Judge Doom reference into the script, but that was all you. I wish I wrote that.
When I killed your brother, I screamed just like this.
I think you were the one that was saying, like, the eyes, man, it's the eyes. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's creepy, but it's not until you slow it down that you suddenly realize just how shit your pants crazy it is.
There was a little bit that we cut out where I think it was because we were repeating a joke, possibly, but the Judge Dredd robot, not Judge Dredd, but the Judge robot accidentally impales himself on the invisible sword, and it's like, dumbass!
Yeah, there was something, something about it just didn't flow right. It was something like give him the dumbass award or something like that, and I did film it, I find a little bit. Something about it just didn't seem to flow, or you couldn't see the impaling that well, or something about it didn't quite work, so I chopped it, no pun intended.
Dang. Seriously, is this our hero? Is this our hero? This wimpy little panty waist?
Yeah, in the 80s, it's like you had your sort of Luke Skywalker here with just the sort of wide-eyed, sort of the boy character, coming of age, and that was big in the 80s, and I think in the 90s, we had, like, the geek hero. Actually, no, sort of in the 80s, too, but in the 90s, like, in the action films, you always had, like, the geek hero, like in Godzilla or, Independence Day and stuff like that, just the person with glasses. It's like, no, you don't understand, and people make fun of him, but he's gonna win in the end. I'm so sick of these characters.
Oh, that face I'm making. Oh, I feel dirty just watching it.
You do have a talent for making very, very creepy faces, especially when you hold that up.
Who? Yeah, I do get crusty elbows.
Oh, wait. Mine hasn't started yet. I'm still in the commercial.
Oh, shit.
I'll be there in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Doug is back from watching commercials. Even we can't escape watching the mid rolls.
Well, they're just so entertaining.
I know. And I, like, everything else about the Star Wars ripoff with Starchaser was a little, tangential, but it wasn't very direct, except for Dag. Dag was just as blatant as you could possibly get.
I don't know. I think the kid is pretty Skywalker-ish, right down to the long blonde hair. He's a wide-eyed innocent and stuff like that.
Magic sword and everything. But, like, Dag, there is no mistaking it whatsoever. I mean, if Han Solo, chomped a cigar, then bam. It would have been just no, it's cemented. It's just like cemented. It's
No, there's no smoking in Lucas's world. Those are death sticks, remember?
yeah, death.
Because chopping people with swords, that's fine, but pointing smoke in your lungs, that's too far.
Oh God, I hated this little thing. The Dingleberry actually appeared more often than we let on. There's this entire sequence that we left out of the review where the guys like take the crystals to like some desert planet. I think it could have been the same planet. Like I said, establishing shot. What is that? But takes these stolen jewels to some Saudi-looking guys to hawk the crystals, and they give him a bomb in a treasure chest in return.
It was made out of pinball parts.
I know. But the Dingleberry again comes out of nowhere and just says, "Hey, there's a bomb here. Hey, listen, bomb, listen." You know, and the review was already going too long, so I decided to not even write about it. I mean, this was...
I was gonna say it's sort of a dull scene. I mean, it's like that scene was kind of entertaining, but that's something when you write a review is that you can't get absolutely everything in there because it is just gonna go too long. There's only so much that people can listen to, and you know what? At the same time, go see the movie if you want to see everything. You know, even the bad ones. It's like go check it out, see how entertainingly bad it is. But yeah, you really can't include every single solitary scene in it.
Oh God, I forgot about what I was about to say. Shit.
Now, actually, was it you who was saying that maybe that this actually might have been sort of the first use of CG in an animated film? Because I thought it was something like Great Mouse Detective or something.
I said it was the first 3D. It was the first 3D animated feature, and I think it was one of the first to use CG in traditional 2D animation. By the way, I'm still baffled by him just picking up the robot randomly and just running on the ship with it. Like, did he honestly think that would block lasers? Did he actually think that would provide adequate cover?
She has to be heavy. I don't care if it's a female. It's still gotta be heavy. It's still metal.
It's still metal and circuitry. That has to be at least 150 pounds. At least. The caca.
And really, he's just blocking, like, his chest. That's about all she can block.
The caca has returned.
Do we ever find out what the caca is?
The caca, I think, was just like the names that are given to the people that wield that sword. I think it's pronounced...
Dumbass name.
I know. I think it was Kakan, but the actor forgot to pronounce the N, so it just sounds like caca.
It sounds like a bird. A caca! Caca!
When I first saw this film, my friend was like, "Oh yeah, there's this scene where a guy rapes a robot up the butt."
That's pretty much it. I mean, it's like, I know it's supposed to be like, "Oh, isn't that quirky and awkward?" It's like, no, it's just disturbing. Like, they're trying to make it quirky and awkward, but it's really just creepy.
Especially when they duct tape the mouth shut.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude.
Why do you risk your life stealing crystals? And how the hell did this movie...
The butt's way too detailed.
Yeah, that was some point where it was like, you know, if this was any other review, I'd actually probably just say, now we're going into a Bennett review. I'm just like, okay, well, we got a Cinema Snob review.
I think that's kind of a fair assumption there.
And to be fair, couldn't she just take it off, too? I mean, what's stopping her?
I don't know what... And, Jesus. I love this line, and I wish it kind of played out a little better. You know, the way to a woman's heart is through her ass.
Well, and on top of it, too, it's like, she never changes back. It's sort of like this, you know, yes, this person who, you know, wants to follow the rules and do the right thing and stuff like that. No, the slutty one, it's like, that's the one that's like the normal one. Like, no, we want her. This is the good one. This is the one that, you know, we're supposed to identify with and like. It's just like sort of this brainless, you know, slutty thing that just wants him.
Sorry, folks, if Doug sounds a little robotish right now, but, you know, doing a commentary over Skype.
Do I still sound robotish?
Less so, but...
It's a commentary on the fact that there was robot rape.
Oh, you see, this was completely intentional. By the way, in that little scene where he's talking to the Jabba the Hutt kind of character, there's a bodyguard who, swear to Christ, reminds me of Jar Jar Binks. Like this big... I hate to say it, but it is a racial caricature. It's this big, dreadlocked black guy with huge lips. And, oh god, is this Jar Jar... Wait a minute. How could this be Jar Jar Binks? This was 1985.
Yeah, there was, actually, you know, a lot of the drawings you actually could make arguments that they are sort of they're sort of Jar Jarring it, like they are sort of these racial stereotypes a little bit. I mean, because, yeah, it's like I'm thinking about that guy, was sort of the Jabba character, like they did especially make him look very good and stuff like that. You could actually, for one or two of these characters, you could sort of make that argument. Only the white people seem to look good.
I don't know if Dag's technically white, but yeah, pale mulatto color. Just enough to make you wonder.
Yeah, see, this is what makes her like. If she's slutty, you know, that's the likable character. The one that was like, you know, hey, what are you doing? Don't kidnap me. She's she's no fun. The one that likes being kidnapped and likes to turn herself into a sex slave. I mean, that's the likable one. That's the one you're supposed to identify.
She's agreeable, if anything.
Yes.
You gotta get that. Very agreeable, very pliable. There's actually, I think at this point in the review, we kind of had to jump around a lot because already the script when everything was done was about 16 pages long, and the longest script I ever wrote. And in fact we skipped the scene where we first introduced the Princess Leia character. She was actually in the film before this.
Yeah, that's right. So which almost makes this reveal kind of pointless because it's like, who's that? Oh, it's the character you saw before. So it's not really that shocking. In fact, she's even wearing like the same clothes, just minus the helmet.
Why is the hell is she wearing that helmet in the first place? Is that like a horse riding helmet?
You can't really see well through it, I would imagine.
And how come there are horses on this alien planet? Like, did they... no.
And she's wearing this really butch, you know, badass armor. Why is she still in the room with, like, pink sheets and everything's frilly and stuff like that? It seems a little out of character. Actually, it looks like his room.
I know. I almost wanted to call this character Pantene, but I already did that with my... I already did that in another review of mine.
Actually, that was something, because I think you say that he sort of looks like a Pantene Provine commercial. If I had time, I was going to slow it down and add a little logo at the bottom, you know, like, you know, rinse, repeat, or something like that, but I just didn't have time, sadly.
It's, I just love the fact that he has this long head of hair, and yet he spent his entire life in a mine. Where did he get the shampoo to get that head of hair? I wrote a bunch of scenes that reminded me of famous Star Wars scenes. I was wondering if you had the clips to make those references, but I remember, yeah, you did.
Yeah, some of them I had. Just some of them seem like, you know, there need to be a little bit more of a variation, or some of them I tried to throw a bit of a variation, or some of them honestly, even though we made jokes that it was a stretch, I was like, yeah, it's a little too much of a stretch. So I figure if we're gonna do the stretch joke, might as well just do it once.
Yeah.
Though I do like this with the Empire.
I wish I had the foresight to write like hey, wait, that sounds like a bad idea. Maybe I should have done something. God, I suck. No, that was on me. Some people got on our case by making the Phantom Menace reference here, but not include the scene where the main baddie dies, and he dies exactly like how the Phantom Menace, God, what was his name? Darth Maul dies. You know, he gets his torso, sliced in half, and he falls down a pit. It's exactly like how Darth Maul dies in Episode 1.
But so we just made a Phantom Menace joke and how it didn't come before it and stuff like that, so it sort of seemed pointless. I guess we could have made a joke like, hey, Lucas ripped off the ripoff. I guess we could have made that kind of joke.
Ripped off the ripoff. I know. And there was a point where Oren slices off the Zygon's hand, oh god, that just seals the deal. But again, that was cut out.
Now I forget, this was 85, so all three Star Wars movies had come out by this point, correct?
Oh yeah. Return of the Jedi was 83, so I have something for you. I hope it's candy. God.
That's the one line where I was just like, every once in a while you get a line in a review or a scene or something like that where you gotta watch it a couple times because it makes you laugh so hard. That was the one for me. I just love the candy line. That is
it's obvious. And actually, this entire this battle sequence was like 10 or 15 minutes long.
Oh, it goes on forever.
I know, but like, you don't really see any space battles or anything like that. You just kind of, it's like, oh, we're gonna attack this planet. We're gonna do it. Just watch.
Yeah, it's actually a very dull, like, last third of the movie. It's like the first 2/3, it's like, it keeps your attention enough, and just the Star Wars ripoffs and some of the weird, like, the robot rape scene and stuff like that is just so bizarre. But then it's just like, yeah, surprisingly, even though there's more action, it becomes pretty boring.
No, if you're wondering, like, why we're recapping so much of what's happening in the last third of the movie, it's because, well, we had to skip over. Actually, I had to skip over quite a bit of it just to kind of get us to the conclusion. Because while stuff is happening, you care even less of what's happening even before. Like, you thought that you couldn't care any less than you did in the first 2/3 of the movie. The movie finds new ways to surprise you how much they make you not care less.
I mean, that is true. If you really don't care about what these, about these characters, which obviously you don't, they're very bland, kind of forgettable characters. You don't care about the action they're in, and the last third of this is nothing but action and just going to different locations to have more action, and it's just nothing much really happens.
And there's that fucking Dingleberry again, and I wish I wish that I came up with the Dorothy, why didn't, like, Glenda tell Dorothy that she could go back to Kansas anytime she wanted to, comparison.
Well, that's just one of those. That's always like one of my favorite comparisons to draw out, because so many people want to slap the Good Witch at that scene, so I love making that comparison.
Slap. This was one of the most bullshittiest moments I can remember watching in a film. Just, how does he know to throw the sword at the ceiling? Like, I'm
still not sure what it did. What did it do?
It just, like, cleared the ceiling, and then they created a stairway, and just, like, oh my god, this was so fucking bullshitty. I just could not believe the gall of this movie to not only do the sword thing, but then cure the kid's blindness.
Yeah, when did it say he could do that? How could he? All this stuff is just, it's like, why even have the kid be blind when you get down to it?
Because then he wouldn't be able to be Space Jesus.
Yeah, that's if he came with, that means that he'd have to be throughout the entire movie. So you know what? Maybe it was good that he was blind. The more I think about it.
Actually, the more I think about it, this actually kind of rips off Hercules, and actually Hercules kind of ripped this off by, it's like, no, I don't want an immortal life. It would be empty without the woman I loved.
Well, that's sort of I mean, that's a lot of kids. You can have all this great stuff. No, I choose the more human thing because humans are good, and we have to emphasize that.
It's like, even an immortal life would be empty.
It's like, wait, make the immortals feel good.
It's like, wait a minute, we could have gotten Nookie if we just stayed on here? Shit!
I've just been doing Fred over there the whole time. What the hell?
I wish that I had if someone thought a lot of... I'm sorry. The ending joke here was actually different from, like, me inflicting Transformers on you. It was, I think you had, like, a plan to review Transformers at some point, and this was just a good way to segue into it. So
yeah, I forget, it was like, because it was supposed to be something else worse, and I was supposed to go no or something like that, but I didn't know what. I figured Transformers would be a good one to do next, so I just sort of switched it around. That's like actually be a nice thing to do, like a good thing to do, so I'd actually be happy.
It's like, or confused, like, hey, it's not that bad. Anyway, thanks for listening.